Because they're all. We're gonna see. I tried.
Right.
Yes. All right, let's start.
Then how many are?
Yeah, there's copies up there. All right, and then you can also find full.
Give me.
It's just. Rick Scott. Oh, there it is.
Look at it, I can keep going, I'm like.
I can pull it off. I can pull it for you now.
Okay, I'm gonna send you some slides.
Yeah.
And a blue light, you got a head and a blue light. Like, all right, I plugged her on in.
I see.
Ian took it away. Yeah, you're right. This is that a sign, you know, but can you sit here by? Let's do it. You put it over. To me.
Just block out there.
Oh, there you go. You got rid of your login. Is it? One. Or one and then.
And I know that because we have. If you're running a company that we have, but
This should apply.
Did you send it?
I just sent it to you and Scott. You come through. Yeah.
Someone. Again.
And folks, will go ahead and get this meeting called to order. It is 7:02 p.m. If we can start with a moment of silence, please. If we all stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City clerk, can you go through the paper roll call for us, please?
Councilmember Williams,
Present.
Reed, Jackson,
Here.
Lawler, Davis,
Here.
French,
Here.
and Mayor Snyder.
Here. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we are gonna start off this evening with a presentation from the Mikey 23 Foundation. I understand I have Mr. Michael McKissick, if I said McKessick, all right. He is with us this evening to give us information on this program, so if you would like to come forward.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor, thank you, City Council members, and thank you, Albion. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity, and I appreciate thank you very much for setting this up. The Mikey 23 Foundation, was started when my son Michael was murdered, 8 years ago, August 1st of 2015. His name was Michael, we called him Mikey, and he was 23 when it happened. One of the things that Mikey 23 does, and what we do for our city in Lansing, we take older houses in the city and we rehab them. We teach them, all our kids, electrical, plumbing, HVAC. I'm a contractor in Lansing. I'm a contractor for Ingham County Land Bank as well. And one of the things that I've learned teaching our kids to work with our hands, and we have a motto in Lansing with a Mikey 23. Instead of picking up a gun, commit gun violence, pick up a hammer and build up the community. And I don't know, I read about some of the gun violence that's happening in Albion, and we generally have that's going around in each city. And if you look at it in the city of Lansing, we have kids that's range from 13 years of age all the way up to 24. That's that age bracket that's committing a lot of gun violence. And so we must ask ourselves, why are they committing all this gun violence? So some of the kids that come to join the Mikey 23 Foundation, which is those age factors, they generally don't have nothing to do. And if you notice what happened after COVID, nobody was really planning for what was going to happen after COVID. And it was like summertime was coming. What are we going to have our kids do in the summertime, right? So I know some of you are old enough to remember when we had summer breaks, we had something to do. These kids didn't have nothing to do coming up there, but even though we started our youth program prior to that, we learned that teaching our kids and the building trades is very important. Because a lot of times kids do not want to attend college, right? And so we gotta give them opportunities, other avenues, and say, listen, this is what, if you come to Mikey 23, this is what we'll teach you. So 3 programs we have. One is registered with the state of Michigan, 18 and over. We have 18 and over, and there's 3,500 hours they gotta complete. They get a certain hourly wages according to the state of Michigan that we have to keep up. And then we have the youth program. and they start off at 10 years old, all the way up to 15. And this is on the weekend. And generally in the summertime, we have them Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as well. But we don't want to interrupt their schooling during the school time. So on the weekends, we teach them everything that we teach in our state apprentice, but they are not allowed to go on the roof because of the liability and things of that nature. And then we have an after-school program. So our after-school program is Monday through Thursday. And that generally runs from 2 to 5:30, right? As soon as they get out of school, they come to the Mikey 23 Foundation. And we also work with the probation department, the kids that's on probation. And that's I guess you could say I love the youth too, and I love the adults, but these kids that's on probation, and when they join the Mikey 23 Foundation, we realize that there's a backstory to why they are on probation. So you have to, and we really don't ask them. They're a volunteer. They call me Mr. Mike when they get there. Say, Mr. Mike, this is why I'm here. Some of them, one of their parents, mother's on drugs, their dad's in prison, and then the grandmother got custody over. So the grandmother just doesn't have all that energy, to keep up with them a lot of times, or then therefore they don't have a father figure into that. So what we try, our program is just not the building part of it, it's the mentoring piece. There's a mentoring piece that's missing as far as what we're looking at in the city of Lansing. So, and then we also have our volunteers that you can look at the first banner right there, the law enforcement, Lansing Police Department, we kind of team up with them. And if, Black and brown kids are always intimidated by law enforcement, it's because of stereotypical TV and et cetera, et cetera. So they sometimes are worried about driving down the road or just walking, worried about the police harassing them. So what we did was I went to the chief of police about 5 years ago. And I told them, I said, I want some of you guys to volunteer with the Mikey 23 Foundation. I said, we need to bridge that gap. That's why it says, if you look at Mikey 23 Foundation, bridging the gap. And so we have certain officers, actually, they'll put on a Mikey 23 shirt on, and they come and they start hammering and rehabbing the house along with the kids. And so I started with that gentleman in the center at the top. And at the time, he's an assistant chief now, but at the time he was a captain. And his name is Rob, he's a good friend of mine. And I says, he joined when he first came to the Mikey 23, one of the houses we were rehabbing. He came up in there and everything. I introduced him to the kids. I said, this is Mr. Rob. I said, how you doing, Mr. Rob? And so we've been working all that day and everything. And we took a lunch break. I says, I want to introduce you to who he really is. His name not Rob, Mr. Mike? I said, yeah, his name is Rob, but I want to tell you what's his career path. And so he says, I am the captain of the Lansing Police Department. Now, mind you, Black and brown kids, they already got this big on it. It's like, what? So what that has done is now they see Rob, they say, how you doing, Mr. Rob, and things of that nature. So it's bridging that gap between law enforcement, because we do need the law enforcement in our community. But also we need to let the law enforcement know that these Black and brown kids are individuals that are committing a lot of the crimes in the inner city part of it, majority of the time on the bigger numbers, but we can get at those individuals as well. And so that's why the law enforcement are involved. And then at the summer classes that we got different seasons for all of them. So there's summer class, and then there's winter class, fall and spring. So after every summer graduation, we have graduation. After graduation class, we have, we go to Cedar Point. We'll charter a bus and everything with the TVs and nice things the kids love and everything. And the law enforcement, they come with us. Again, they fill out their Mikey 23 shirts and they be part of that with the kids. So this is, for me, I think this is very important for our community to be involved. And also we have which is the kicking part about it, I tried to get you guys involved with the city council, even back home. It's called Walking My Steps for a Day. It's Mikey 23 Walking My Steps. It's like job shadowing. And what that looked like is some of our kids shadow city council members, the mayor, the chief of police, builders, car salesmen, all these type of different career paths. So we can remove that limitation of telling them that you can't do this. Remove that limitation, and they can see how things function at the city council. A lot of times they don't know. And so we're giving them an opportunity to walk in our footsteps, like judges, they be involved. And the judges really love it. They said, when you gonna start the program again? And so what that gives them an opportunity, our kids, to be involved in that as well. And also, not just with the Mikey 23 Foundation, we have scholarships for our kids. We have scholarships that for high school only, and the kids that's getting ready to go to college, they have to write an essay in how they will stop the violence in their community. And a lot of times, we as an adult think we have the answer, sometimes we don't. Those peers, when they're that young, 16, 17, 18, they know what's really going on in the community. They know who's carrying guns, who's doing all these type of things, we don't know, you know, but they know, their peers, they know. So they'll know how to stop some of the violence in the community. So that's why we have them write an essay on how to stop the violence community. So we have one of them that just won last year. She's going to Grand Valley, is that Grand Valley State? Oh, Baker. The year before last is, and the one went to U of M. So, ooh, U of M, just kidding. I'm MSU, so. I was reluctant to give her that check, you know. I'm MSU family, so down. But you know, our program is that there's a program that I think will benefit the city of Albion. And when we truly rehab a house like that house, you probably can see it's on that banner down there. All the houses that we rehab over the period of 8 years, all of them was on the demolition list. They were gonna tear them down. And what happens, I know you guys know and ladies know, what happens when you tear a house down in the city of Albion? The grass grows high, looks crazy, makes the other neighborhoods look bad, right? I mean, other houses look bad. So, and then you're only getting, in Lansing, you're only getting $30 to $1,500 a year in property tax if you tear the house down, you got a vacant land, right? So it's not really benefit the community at all. However, having the Mikey 23 program come in, getting, rehabbing one of these houses and making the house, if you look at that house, making that house the best house on the block. And then therefore, properties, you sell it to a homeowner, they pay $2,000 to $3,000 a year in property taxes. So it's being reinvested in the community. So it's a win-win for the city, it's a win-win for the community, and it's a win-win for our kids. And it's a win-win stopping the gun violence that's going on in our community. Because again, these kids, and I always said there's two type of, and I said this about a couple of weeks ago at a conference, that there's two type of webs that we deal with in our city, right? You have the web of bad things that happen over here and kids get caught up in that. Then you have the web over here. What are we trying to do positive? We need to continue to keep these kids in this web over here and continue to do that. And I always said that kids are like a garden, right? So everybody likes gardening, right? So if you garden, if you let the garden just let the weeds take over there, they take over the vegetation, right? And so we've said that's the same thing about our kids. Our kids are gardeners, but we need positive gardeners. We don't need no kids poisoning our kids, right? So we need positive gardeners. And so that's what the Mikey 23 Foundation is basically all about. And we try to bring, keep in mind, and this is my wife right here, and I love her very dearly, and we are trying to keep our son's legacy alive. Michael lived at home with us. He never had any kids, so I see these little kids as being Mikey's little kids. And we have an investment in these kids. You know, my father just recently passed away. And Councilman Reed, she was a good friend of my parents. And when he passed away, you know, I had the dark, you know, when your parents, you know, he was 88, but still it hurted, right? So some of the kids seen the transformation of me not being smiling, Mr. Mike, and they came out and wrote me a nice little sympathetic card and everything, and signed it and gave me a big hug. And we trying to make them feel good, and they are trying to make me feel good. So this is the relationship that we have with our kids and everything, you know. So we try to bring happiness in the community that there's a lot of sadness going on. And I'd like to say one more thing before I go for any question. 3 years ago, there was a double homicide in Lansing, on Baker Street. If anybody know in Lansing what Baker Street is, it's always been, you know where Baker Street is, right? So, Mikey 23 has a house around the corner, two houses down from where that double homicide happened 2 years ago. And he was a captain at the time, Rob. The double homicide happened that Friday night. We had class that Saturday, we were supposed to have class that Saturday morning. I found out about the double homicide that Friday night. And every time a homicide happens, he called me up and said, there's a homicide over here and stuff like that, so we can know what's going on in our community. And I was feeling kind of down, and he told me something. He said, Mike, don't feel down. He says, there was darkness that night, but the Michael 23 brought brightness and sunshine that following day in that community. He said, don't stop doing what you're doing. Continue doing what you're doing. And that's what we need to do because, you know, we have a village out there and it's gonna take all of us. Michael 23 can't do it by themselves. It's gonna take each and every one of us to make our city the place that we call home. And thank you. Any questions?
Do you have a sense as to how we could implement this type of program here in
I
our
do.
city?
Real simple. The process is real simple. So I know that we only have elementary schools here, right? And
We have an Opportunity High School.
what's it called now? Sorry.
It's called Opportunity High School as
It's
well.
alternative ed.
Alternative, okay, so alternative ed, so we work with also alternative ed as well in Lansing, which is not part of the school district. There are kids that got kicked out of that school, right, and they go over here. So we have 2 students as part of the 1923 program. And they do very well. They're doing very well. As a matter of fact, one of them is getting ready to get off of probation. The Judge Dunning, which is in Lansing, as a matter of fact, when is the 10th or the 12th? They're supposed to have graduation and stuff like that, getting off probation and stuff like that. And that's what that particular program is, alternative ed as well. So the way it's really simple is that we pay all our kids. Even the 10-year-old gets money. The adult apprentice getting in after school, we pay them as well. It's an incentive, right? But there is stipulations behind receiving that stipend and that money, right? So our kids at after school in the youth program, you have to turn in your homework. If you don't bring your homework in, you don't get your stipend. That's one. Number 2 is that we buy all their tools. We buy all their tools, their boots, their hats, their hoodies, their hammers, their holsters, everything. We buy them all, and that's theirs. And for every item they don't bring, the next time they come to class, we deduct $5 from their pay. And so we make them accountability. It's accountability that we do, right? So implementing the program, things that we need in Albion is that we need a house, right? And we have subcontractors are willing, and which is, because I'm a contractor, then we have the electrical, plumbing, HVAC that comes on with us as well, right? They will be teaching theirs and I will be teaching mine, right? So we are typically volunteer and stuff like that, but we need stipend for the tools. We need stipend for paying our kids. We need a house that you can say, well, this is the house that the Mike 23 can rehab. We typically can get a lot of our material donated and things of this nature from Home Depot, Menards, and Lowe's and stuff like that, because they love to invest in a program like ours. And then we need to meet with the school district, say, listen, this is what we're offering. And so if these are the criteria that we have, the program is not free and it's not cheap, you know what I mean? But the investment is priceless. The investment is priceless, and not just that, we have individuals that in North Carolina wants us to implement a program in North Carolina that heard about us here. They heard us about us in Jackson, they want to implement a program, but Lansing and Jackson is right, Lansing and Albion is right here. That's closest in Jackson as well. And so these are the things that we need to move forward and say, let's implement the program here in Albion, Michigan.
So where do you get your financial backing from?
So we started off, I'll tell you how we started off. The financial backing initially started when August 1st of 2015, my son was murdered. I knew my contractor, so a friend of mine, one of his rental properties, caught a fire. And he called me up like 10 days after my son was murdered, and he says, Michael, my insurance company needs 3 contractors to bid on this house, put it back, put a bid on my rental, let's put them back together because it caught fire. So okay. The insurance company, everybody bids on, they send our SMS to the insurance company. Insurance company picks the lowest bid. Our company was the lowest bid. So I went there, it was like $150,000. Now, mind you, my son was just murdered, right? So my head isn't still in the cloud. So I met with the adjuster, he said, I need to meet you out to the job, out to the house, I went out there. And I looked at the house, I stood back, he said, what you doing? I said, I don't think this house was worth putting back together. And he looked, and he says, let me look at his policy, I don't know why they didn't do it prior to, let me look at his policy. So he went back to the office and found out that, you know how you have a total loss in the car? You have total losses in houses as well. And so he went back, his total loss, his policy was 119, but the house was pretty clear. It was 119. And then he called me up, and he was from State Farm. He said, we're going to have to cancel this project and write the owner total loss check of $119,000, less than $1,000 deductible. I said, that's fine, it just wasn't worth putting it back together. So he called the owner, told him, he was happy, $119,000, right? He called me up, he said, Mike, thank you for your honesty, you could have just took the job. I said, it just wasn't worth us putting back together. And then he said, he hung up and called me back in a day or so. He said, I heard that you stuck, because we did a candlelight vigil shortly after that, right? And Channel 6 News, they come to the store, and we said we wanted to start a foundation in my son's name. And then he seen the news clip, he says, called me and he says, Mike, he said, I want to donate this house to your son foundation that you started. He says, because the city said I got to tear it down or do something with it. I'm just going to take a check and run, which is, I would have done the same thing. And so he said, I'm going to donate this house to the Mikey 23 Foundation. So what I end up doing, I went to all my suppliers and said, listen, I'm starting a foundation in my son's name. Can I get 10% off the supplies and stuff like that? So I went to Richard Building Supply. Richard Building Supply said, the manager said, Mike, just tell me what the list of stuff that you need for, to do it. And I went there and he says, I got everything on the trailer and everything. I said, this is the stuff we need. We had a whole bunch of stuff. He says, well, what's the cost on this? He says, Mike, it's free. He says, we want to help the Mikey 23 Foundation out. So we end up putting that house together, and the house sold the first day. We put the house the first day. We fully remodeled the house. I think I don't know, but okay. We fully remodeled the house, and it sold the first day. So we put it on the market 10, 30, 11 o'clock, and it sold full offer at 5 o'clock. And so we took those funds and purchased the next house. And so we still need funding, because we don't put the houses together as a contractor. I can rehab a house in less than 60 days, right? It may take us a year and a half to do a house, but because if we got classes in the house, you're teaching 20 and 30 and 40 something kids to install windows. They put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out. You're teaching them that you're trying to perfect their craft. And you gotta teach them that, perfect their craft in order to make the money. So I always tell them, like your front doors, I tell my kids, I says, as a contractor, I charge a minimum labor cost of $350 to put a door in. I said, it takes me less than an hour to do it. And they'll look at me like, you make that much money? I said, well, you have to perfect your craft though. People say, well, why you charge so much? You wasn't there for 15, 20 minutes. Because I had to perfect my craft, in order to do it right. So, and to answer your question there, it's gonna need funding, houses, paying the material for some of the stuff for the house, paying for the kids and paying for their lunch. Typically our lunch just on our youth last year, I added up, was a little over 10 grand. Or the kids can eat. They can eat, it's a piece of hamburger, stuff like that. Then we have sometimes churches volunteer and they bring lunch and stuff like that. Because it's not gonna take just us, it's gonna take the entire community. It's gonna take us all to make this program successful.
So I know I have a multitude of questions, and I'm sure the council members probably do as well. So I guess going forward, your next step, like if you were to try to implement here in Albion, well, you said you're gonna talk with the school district or?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to talk to the subcontractors first, and they had to be on board, right? Because there have to be a time that they have to commit in order to make the program work, right? So that's what we're working on it now as we speak, Second of all, we're gonna need a house, right? We're gonna need a house, 1 or 2 houses, something like that. You're gonna need that, right? Then we're gonna talk to the school district is actually, you can come a little later with them You just have to get your ducks in order, you know, you gotta get the finance in order, the houses in order, the subcontractor, you wanna say, okay, the program's ready. You know, so it just doesn't have to be the kid from the school district coming out. I'm saying that to say that it doesn't have to be alternatives, it don't have to be just them, because we have kids that are doing very well in school. And regular Lansing School District are part of the 1923 program as well. Some of them, like Will and Jameson, they've been in the program for 4 years. You know what I mean? Now, you know, they started like this, and be like this and everything, because they enjoy it. It's the camaraderie. That's basically what it is. It's camaraderie with these kids.
All right, awesome. Well, hopefully you will keep us abreast
I will.
as to how this
I will.
is progressing for you. And I'm sure, because I've seen a lot of people nodding their heads while you're talking. I'm sure that, you know, we would love to see something like this in our
Thank you.
community as well.
So that is a picture of our son.
Yeah.
I was telling Mike, I was just looking the other day, cleaning out a cabinet, and I found my Earn and Play Power for Kids shirt. And I was thinking then, how nice it would be to have something for our children here to do again. And something that's they can learn from and make a good choice in jobs and everything else. And just like you said, everybody doesn't want to go to college, but they still need to have skills to do things. His dad was a construction person, fantastic dad.
Yeah, well, he is, and I love him dearly, you know, I'm 6 years old, I was on top of him at the age of 8. Child neglect, I told my dad, you know, nail and shingles, you know, so, I mean, you know, again, you know, this is, something that we have to, instill back in our kids, the pride and stuff like that, so when they're done with a project like that, they can drive past it, run past it, walk past it, however they see it, and they can say, I have a part in that, you know, not just that, all we do in the city of Lansing. Certain, if anybody heard of Moneyball? If you see the building Moneyball, my kids had a role in putting that together. And so what I typically do, because I want them to touch and everything around the city, and say, I had something to do with that. When you instill that pride and stuff that in these kids, I mean, now, you know, a third of our class is girls, Mike. A third of our class is girls. And some of them are, you know, we have a family of 4 with that. They 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and Cynthia is older than Zion, and no, she's younger than Zion. This is a family of 4, and she's out exceeding him. You know, he started first and started winning. Now she came in with her nails. She had nails and everything. You should see it. Nailing. I mean, just put it on the belt. So, you know, again, you know, I would love to have to implement this program here at the Albions.
Councilman Williams?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Mr. McKessick, I definitely will be reaching out to you. I definitely want to see this project take root here in the community. And I know that's something that the officers probably will be on board with doing as well. I know you mentioned that, and we've been looking at different ways in which we can impact the community, build those relationships, and also build up the community as well. So I'll definitely be reaching out to you so that we can get them down there pretty soon.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you, everyone. Thank you.
Public comments. If there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address council in regards to a specific agenda item, you have an opportunity to do so at this time. Just come forward, give us your name, your address, and 3 minutes is yours.
Ronnie Sills, 710 West Erie, and it's amazing that I walk in here and see this young man and his wife. It's an answer to my prayers from Saturday's meeting. So I know I talked about my grandson and the comment that he made that I'm not gonna be here certain time as he grows up, but these are the types of programs that we need for our young people. this is the future for Albion to bring in a program like this. And I can personally say I worked with him on a project here in Albion on Chauncey Street.
Yes.
And the pride that I felt, you know, most of you know, I had a mentoring program of my own. But the pride that I felt when he drove up in the truck with those young people. And they got out and they were putting the windows in, they were up on the roof, and they was doing things, and it was like, this is awesome. So it's an answer to my prayers to walk in here and see this, because we need this. Our young people need to get busy, they need to know that they have skills that they probably don't even realize that they have. And it could be beneficial to them and their family and their future, as well as we need housing here in Albion. And I don't have a house, but I have lots. And I don't know if you build from the ground up, but if you do. And what's the macaroni and cheese? She may not look like she may make macaroni and cheese, but she makes the best. Macaroni and cheese.
Anybody else like to stand and address council in regards to an agenda item? All right. Seeing none, do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Support.
City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
And Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Meeting adjourned, 7:33, the closed session. 53 P.M. City Clerk, may I let you take roll call first, please?
Councilmember Reed,
Yeah.
Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Here.
French,
Here.
Williams,
Here.
and Mayor Snyder.
Here. In our packets, we have the minutes to our November 20th study session and regular council session. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. First item is to approve resolution 2023-33. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support. City Manager Snyder?
Yes, Mayor, so including in the packet is, a resolution to establish a deferred retirement option plan or draft program. This will be, for the Albion Command Officers Association. So this is a way to retain, employees who would be eligible to retire, once they hit that 25 years of service, they can enroll in our draft program for an additional 5 years. So once they enroll in the program, we will take what they would have collected from their monthly pension payment and put that into an interest-bearing account. I believe at 4% is what we agreed with the union. Like I said, it's a maximum of 5 years. Once that 5-year hits, they must then retire from the city. Included in the packet is the option plan document. It does include a 5-year out clause that after 5 years, we can evaluate to see if this is still in the best interest for the pension as well as the city. If the pension hits at 120% funding, we feel at that time that we would discontinue along that job program because we want to make sure our pension plan maintains that good level of funding. So this is just a way of to retain highly skilled and qualified employees. Recommended approval.
Do we have any questions for City Manager Snyder? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yeah.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve of the 3-year contract with our Command Officers Association?
So moved.
Support.
City Manager Snyder? Oh, right, okay. So this was the item that we talked about in the closed session. City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yeah.
Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-30, which is the tax exemption for our health insurance contribution?
So moved.
Support.
Attorney Curtis.
So this is our annual opt-out from the Michigan, the requirements for the Michigan Publicly Funded Health Insurance Program. They require any municipality that deviates from the 80-20 split, a vote on this opt-out, and it has to pass by 2/3 majority. The city provides a better benefit than the 80-20, which is 90-10. So we adopt this resolution every year. Or we have adopted it every year since the law was enacted, I believe in 2011, became effective in 2012. So it's the exact same resolution we've adopted for the last decade. The only change is we've updated it to reflect January 1, 2024 through the end of 2024, and we've updated the amounts that are reflected, and those amounts come directly from the state of Michigan.
Any questions for Attorney Curtis? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French.
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-31 for fiscal year 24 budget?
So moved.
Support. City Manager Snyder?
Yes, thank you, mayors. So we've had a series of budget work sessions and we had our formal public hearing at our last regular meeting. So for the 2024 proposed budget, the general fund, we are estimating revenues of $8,165,583 and estimated appropriations of $8,385,476. And for our total budget of all funds, we have estimated revenues of 25,187,555, I'm sorry, with, estimated appropriation of 22,538,565. Included in, you have the formal budget packet, the 2024 proposed fee schedule is also included, as part of the budget. The only change to the fee schedule was the increase for the sewer rates, which were approved by council back in 2019. This is the last year for those, that increase. And then we have the new $50 fee for the block party, which you all set at the last regular, council meeting. So we are just recommending approval for the 2024, budget. And I just want to say thank you to Director Clark for all of your work in preparing this for us.
Yeah, questions? Comments for City Manager Singer? That's the first.
So it was mentioned at the study session at the beginning regarding the EDC budget. Is that not included in this at this point?
No, the EC budget is included. So the board did approve, the proposed budget for 2024. They just did not approve the amendments to the 2023 budget.
Okay, thank you.
Will we have to vote on the amendments later?
Yeah, so we'll, once they approve them at their meeting on Thursday, we will bring them back for council for final approval. December 18th, I believe it is.
Okay, sounds good.
Any other questions or comments? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yeah.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. We have a motion to approve resolution 2023-32, which is our 2023 budget amendment.
So moved.
Support. City Manager Singer?
Yeah, so these were presented during each of the budget work sessions. Every time we went over the projected numbers to end fiscal year 2023. The proposed amendments, including your packet, that will get us to that final, the final numbers that were presented during our budget work session. They just stated we are recommending approval with the exception of the 4 EDC funds. They are included under other funds, so that on page 46 of your packet, so that's Fund 243, 244, 247, and 296.
Questions or comments? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. And motion to approve resolution 2023-34 for the service agreements for Voya and Ancora.
So moved.
Support.
City Manager Singer?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll give a brief overview, then I'll ask Director Avant to come and share a little bit more. So we are looking to change the plan administrator and fiduciary for our 457 and retirement health savings plan. Currently, we are with Mission Square, formerly known as ICMA. And we are looking to transition those plans to Ancora, who will be the fiduciary, and Voya, who will be the plan administrator. I will let Director Avant kind of share how we came up to make this decision.
Yes, good evening, Council. So the city currently offers like 3 different plans for retirement. We have the 401k plans offered through MERS, where the city contributes 7% to that account. And then we have the 457 plan, RHS plan that is managed by Mission Square. So coming into the role, I was a little surprised. It was new to me coming into a government entity that the plans were split out. We had a 457 plan and then a 408 plan. In the past, my experience has been you have a 401k or 403b, and your contributions and employer contributions are put into one bucket and it grows, right? But our plan is different in that we have a 401a plan through MERS and then a 457 plan through Mission Square. So upon coming on board, I realized that number one, we were not getting the 2 accounts together, which probably was impacting people's growth. But that was the model that was in place. And so I realized quickly that Mission Square had very little activity or communication with us. No one had reached out to introduce themselves. No one was coming on site to do any education sessions, sort of like what MERS do. And so, you know, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, like, it wasn't any interaction. And so one of the union presidents came in and said, hey, I think we should try to explore the opportunity to have Ancora, who manages our successful pension fund, which is at 160%, to manage our investments with Mission Square. We were not thinking about going away with Mission Square at the time altogether. And so after meeting with Ancora and Voya, I realized that Mission Square operated as the fiduciary and the record keeper for our plan. And what it means is that they pick the investments, monitor the investments, but they also own the investments. So there's a way for them to hide costs. There's a way for them to put the funds into their own growth opportunities and not really serve our employees well, right, like they should. And so that's one business model. Whereas Ancora and Voya, their business model is that we would have Ancora be the fiduciary. They would pick the investments for the 4657 plan, and Voya would be the record keeper, meaning they would have the online platform. They would provide us with the reports. They would allow people to enroll. And so I was thinking to myself, the name Voya sounds familiar. Well, I had Voya at a previous employer state of Michigan. And so they're very reputable. They're familiar with the local government, state government retirement system process. And Ancora was a no-brainer because they've done a very good job of being our fiduciary on the 457 side. And so naturally, because we were transitioning from Mission Square with the 457, it makes sense for us to also bring over the retirement health savings plan as well. Now, retirement health savings plan, the city contributes 2%, and the employee contributes 2%, and the city contributes 2%. Now, for the RHS plan, Ancora is not acting as the fiduciary. They essentially said that is the city's responsibility, so it would be mine, right? But I worked it out where Voya and Ancora, they're gonna model the same investments we have in the 457 to our RHS plan. So the model is already suited to kind of work together in that if this is doing well on the 457 side, so are RHS investments as well, because I'm not the one that's managing them, I'm taking the advice from Ancora, who we contracted with to do this on the 457 side. And so this new model, I also brought in the idea that for new hires, we would automatically enroll them into this voluntary plan, right? Because we have to be good HR stewards and good financial stewards to educate and plan for the employees who may not be as knowledgeable in this area. And so effective when this program goes into effect, all new hires will be automatically enrolled into the 457 plan at 3%. Each year, they'll be automatically escalated by 1% to make sure that they're meeting that investment mark where they should be based on their years of service and age. And so I can assure you that it's been thoroughly vetted through the unions. I've met tirelessly with the unions to make sure that they know, understand, and want this. I've also communicated with retirees who are still in the plan. I've had meetings where Director Clark has come in, and so has City Manager Snyder. And so, Ancora has also been kind of like my partner in making sure that the process and model that we're following is suitable for local government, right? So they're kind of like my sidekicks. Keller Toma has also reviewed the plan. Now, none of us are tax professionals, or none of us are I wouldn't say tax or pension professionals. We know enough to know that this is a right move based on where we're at, but none of this is sure, right? We can't speculate what the market will do. We can't say that Ancora will knock it out the park. It's all subject to the market, but it has been viewed by, our attorneys, and I vetted it through all the unions, and I think we just need to see what it will do. I think that we're dealing with the most reputable companies we possibly could be dealing with through Ancora, who Scott would tell you, we've been with them for forever, and then Voya. And so we're well in the project already. I couldn't move forward until we have the official agreement with you all. But if it's agreed upon, then tomorrow morning I'll be sending out letters to retirees, current participants, beneficiaries, notifying them of the change. Some of them will have to elect different options on whether to keep their funds at Mission Square for particular funds. And then some of them have holes in the account where it has to stay with them for a year because they already have the money invested, but eventually will roll over. And so the blackout period for this will be December 26th, where no investments can be made, nothing can be done. But soon as January 1st hit, payroll will be up and running. We'll already given them the roster. And then from there, it'll be a very good process for our employees. They'll have the financial advice and consultancy from Ancora. In fact, Ancora has asked us not to add on the additional service where they can give us advice. Instead, they're going to serve as that lead fiduciary and advisor whenever we need a call. I can reach out to them, they'll schedule one-on-one. They'll also come out. Voice systems allows employees to opt out of the automatic enrollment, so this is not guaranteed. The employee will initially be opting in at 3%, but but within 30 days, they can choose to opt out, right? So there's no harm, no foul. They can opt out of the 1% escalation too, but it's all designed to help them build their retirement account to make it healthy. And so, even the platform itself, the platform will allow them to go in, make contribution changes, add beneficiaries, where none of that was really actively done with Mission Square. So now that I'm part of this new project, I know it, pretty much in it through and through. I'll be able to do that much more assistance with helping our employees to answer questions, make changes in the system when needed, and just be that advocate for them when it comes to retirement.
You pretty much answered the one question that I had. I just want to make sure we have the union buy-in.
Yes, yeah, and there were even a couple instances where, as we got on through the project, our Keller told me, advised me to go back to the union, which I did just last week, to ask them specifically, are they okay with the automatic opt-in and the automatic escalation? And they all agreed unanimously. They thought it was a great idea. They thought it was great that HR was really looking out for the new hires' best interest, but we're not going to apply it to current hires current employees, because they pretty much already elected what they want. We're not gonna mess with their retirement plans that they haven't asked us to. But new hires, we're gonna kind of walk them into the automatic 3% with the 1% yearly increase.
Do we have any, Councilwoman Davis?
Wouldn't it be prudent if we had, maybe a financial planner, since this money is going to be here, sitting there, and for our young employees who may be around for the next 15 or 20 years, couldn't we benefit from having a financial planner to really help guide in terms of the market value?
Yeah, that's what Encore will be doing as a fiduciary.
Doing that?
Yeah, they're right now with Mission Square, our accounts are just sitting. They're Mission Square, I'm not here to bash them, but they're just not doing. They don't have that one-to-one. They don't know the city of Albion, where are the employees. Whereas at Cora, I can already tell that they are like, no, you don't have to pay the additional 3% out of your account. We'll take on the investment advice piece of.
Okay.
Mitchell, you can call me if there's an employee who asks me a question.
They're going to meet with you periodically?
Yep, yeah, they're gonna come out, they said they'll be willing to set up one-to-one meetings with people at request. They also come out twice a year, Voya or Encore come out, meet with our employees. We're already sending out communications. I'm here to meet with them as well. And so I just think overall, we're getting a better platform through Voya, and we're getting a better investment fiduciary oversight with Encore.
We already have that kind of relationship established with Encore, since they've managed our public safety pension for forever. So we have that good rapport. I think they've done well with our retirement fund. So this is just another way that hopefully they can help the other retirement funds.
And I'll say this last thing, it's a best practice model to have the fiduciary and record keeper be separate, because one can manage the investment while the other one does the proper record keeping. And so with Mission Square, they just have it all built into one model, and it's not serving as well.
Are there any questions or comments? Thank you. City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Thank you for all the work, because I know how tasking that can be to bring in new people to work with our employees. It's a lot of work, so no problem.
Yeah, it's been a heavy lift. Past 2 months of heavy lifting for a director of
Yeah.
job well done.
Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-35, which is notice of intent to reimburse the drinking water RLF? So moved.
Support.
City Manager?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this notice is for the second piece of our $19.2 million water system improvement fund. You guys approved a resolution at the last regular meeting for the grant piece that we received from Eagle. If you can recall from that 19.2 project, we are responsible for $9.1 million. So this notice of intent just lets our residents know that we will be selling bonds, the amount of $12 million to cover that piece of the project. We did have a kickoff meeting last week with USDA to explore options with them. I think that will be our best route. we do qualify for their poverty interest rate, which I believe is some little over 2 point something%. Our other option would be just to go to the private market. Obviously, if we go to the private market, we don't know what the market will look like going into the new year, and it's obviously higher interest rate. So USDA is definitely our best course of action. But we are just recommending approval so that we can proceed with securing that additional required funding.
Questions or comments for city manager Schrader? City clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve our city attorney's contract?
So.
Support.
Attorney Harris?
So as indicated in the work session, given our most recent review, we requested a 5% raise, which is the only change that's been made to the contract as reflected in paragraph 3. We did not take a raise last year, so we thought this was a fair request. I had indicated to the city manager we were going to be making this request. It's my understanding that this has already been allotted for in the budget. And it would not take effect until January 1, so as not to disrupt this budget year. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for our attorney? City clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve part 213, which is the consent to enter public property?
So moved.
Support.
Attorney Harris?
So as I indicated in the work session, I was contacted by Eagle. They had some concerns about contamination at the former Harvard site. So they want to drill some test monitoring wells. And so they needed this part 13 consent to enter agreement executed by the city. As I indicated in the work session, there were some small changes I made there. I had to have them clean up the signature block, and they had a different parcel that was included that belonged to the EDC. The two parcels that are listed on attachment A are the two parcels owned by the city. The testing and work performed at Eagle is completely at Eagle's expense, so there's no expense to the city. And then I'm sure we'll hear from Eagle if they discover any kind of contaminants out there, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But we're recommending approval.
Questions or comments for our attorney on this item?
Yes.
City clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve of a black party agreement?
So.
Support.
Attorney Harris?
So, at one of the past meetings, you had adopted the block party ordinance. Part of the ordinance in the application process was part of block party agreement. We took this as a combination from some other municipalities that had something similar. Some of the highlights are, you can't put things like tents or inflatables that are anchored to the ground in the street or sidewalk. So the idea there is that you can't impede emergency vehicles or other vehicles from being able to get down the street when they need to. The applicant responsible for cleanup of the streets and sidewalks from trash from the event. They can't move the barricades after the city placed them there. And you know, Councilman Williams asked a good question during the work session. They are placed by the city in a way where they dissuade traffic from coming down the street, but homeowners who are not participating can still get access to their homes if need be. The applicant has to monitor the noise. There can't be consumption of alcoholic beverages on public property, including the streets or sidewalks. And the caveat to that would be if they go and get a permit from the Liquor Control Commission, part of that requires a diagramming of an area that's going to be closed off. If they get that license and it's approved by public safety, that would be the caveat to that, because that's a state law that will supersede this. There can't be raffle ticket sales unless they are a nonprofit organization. That is a state law requirement. And the last thing that we put in there is that they have to certify, or I should say, sign that they've reviewed the block party ordinance prior to application for a block party, because I can just foresee something happening at a block party and them saying, well, I didn't know that that was part of the ordinance. So we'll just nip that in the bud ahead of time.
Can we give them a quiz?
Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Attorney Harkness?
I just wonder how this is going to be received. It was so stringent.
Well, and you know, it'll be if it doesn't play out the way that the city wants, you can always amend the agreement, you can always amend the application or the ordinance, so. All changeable if it doesn't pan out, but I think it's better to have structure than to have no structure at all.
And I think we give people the outline that they need to protect themselves and the people that attend their, events as well. And we get back to neighborhoods enjoying one another, and neighbors with neighbors. I think that's the best outcome.
Getting to know one another. Okay.
Any questions? City Clerk.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Motion to approve the request to close City Hall at noon on December 14th.
So moved.
Support.
City Manager Slater?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we've done this in the past, and I don't believe we've held one since, pre-pandemic. We're, just requesting to close City Hall at noon on December 14th to hold our holiday get together party. We will be meeting at the fire station, and our fund committee has come up with a few different activities. I believe we'll be doing a cookie exchange. And then Councilmember Reed will be participating with us and cookie serving them her delicious food that she always does. So we are just asking that we are able to fill it in so all employees can attend the event, and all of the city council who are invited to join us as well.
What are you cooking, Lynn?
You send us an email and we
Does it matter?
No, it really doesn't.
We'll eat whatever people.
Any questions in regards to this item? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
French.
Yeah.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. City Manager request.
And this future agenda.
You're good. Do we have any future agenda items that council members would like to bring up?
As we end this fiscal year, as we end the fiscal year 23, I just would like to take a look at some of our spendings regarding legal fees and things like that in terms of where we are. So it's just for a discussion. Point.
Any other items? All right, public comment. If there is anybody, Chief Gift's gonna make a public comment, or, okay. All right.
Because I forgot about this, I just wanted to announce that, this year's, Town County Shop with a Cop will be Saturday. And so we meet at 8 o'clock at, I don't remember the name of the church over in Battle Creek. And we take, 65 kids to and do shopping with them. Each of them get a $75 gift card. The idea is to buy gifts for their family. So I know there's at least 6 of our officers that are participating this year. All the kids are chosen through the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, through information they receive from schools. So we don't have any say in who the kids are, but there's usually half dozen to a dozen kids from Albion that are included. So, but just want everybody to know that 10 o'clock, we usually start shopping on Saturday, so I'll go to Walmart, Battle Creek. That's great.
It is. Good enough.
Anybody else?
Good evening. Karen Yankee, 104 Urban Avenue, 3rd Precinct. I applaud you, Mayor Snyder, for your service and grace and for being a positive advocate for the city of Albion and its constituents. And it has not gone unnoticed. The word accountability has been used to justify bringing ethics charges against Mayor Snyder. I find it hypocritical on the behalf of councilpersons Jackson, Lawler, Reed, and Williams, when they have not been accountable and transparent, to name a few, in regards to, 1, the factual reasons they voted to go into closed session to hear why the 4 EDC board members voted to terminate the EDC board president. 2, the factual reasons they removed the 4 EDC board members for their vote against the EDC president. 3, the factual reasons they disregarded EDC and Albion City Attorney's legal advice. 4, the accountability and for my tax dollars used for investigative and lawyer fees, etc. In the EDC president continual debacle and calling special council meetings at whim for which they receive a stipend. 5, to their precinct constituents through written or other communication of their controversial votes in the aforementioned matters or others. Our precinct informative email notifications, meetings, and newsletters a thing of the past. I will end with a line from the Shakespearean play Hamlet. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. Thank you.
Have a home, rest there. Darren, I love you. I love you very much. Even through COVID, you and I hugged and kissed. As Mr. French said on Saturday, it's been over 100 years that this town has been divided. I'm talking about myself. When I was in school, I tried out for cheerleading 3 times. Varsity, junior varsity, and freshman. I did not get it. I always wondered why I didn't get it. I asked the teacher, and she checked into me, and I asked her, how did I come out? Said, you came out second. I said, how come I wasn't a cheerleader? Every girl on that team, varsity, junior varsity, and freshman, father owned a store. Even the funeral home director's daughter got to be on the court when she wasn't any good. But I wasn't good enough, but I had 5 points ahead of the third person and did not get it. It's about who you know, what's right and what's wrong. You have a criteria. The same thing happened to me at Mackey. I was up for a job. I was turned down. I found out I had 5 points more than the person ahead of me. I went to the president. I did my research and I told him, the person they were trying to give the job did not meet the criteria. I had 5 points better than he had. The president gave me the job. It's about who you know, what you know, follow rules and criteria. Just like Michigan is playing Alabama. Michigan should not be playing Alabama. They should be playing Miami. It's all about who you know. It's not about no criteria, right or wrong. If you're wrong, look like you're gonna be right. So all I got to say, do your job, what you're supposed to do. If you got a criteria, follow it. If not, bring it to the front. If the criteria is not there, readjust it. Right, and wrong is wrong. It's in the law. Thank you.
Right? City manager's report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Copy of my report was included. It's very short. We did have a design progress meeting for the water system improvements project on November 21st. The meeting minutes are included for your as a reference. And then the 2023 winter property taxes were sent out on Friday, December 1st. Oh, yeah.
There's a bill for Christmas.
So do I.
I tried to open that one.
No comments.
I got a question before we go back to the city manager
Yep.
report. Looking at these from Whiteman and Associates.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the water infrastructure, what is it? Yeah, what is this about?
This is the water system improvement project.
System
The
improvement.
$19.2 million project.
Yes, that's what it is, okay. I see here that, the property owner they've been trying to get a hold of the property owner. Ken Tackett's property, we have been unsuccessful in contacting Ken. Ken Tackett is no longer the property owner is Ed House. He purchased that property on 331 while he was sitting on the board at the EDC.
What day is that?
March 31st.
Wow, I didn't know what you might do.
So I just wanted to save y'all some time and find the person that you need to contact.
Thank you for the update.
You know.
Councilman comments.
I would like to say thank you to our attorney for the Thanksgiving baskets that he gave, and I delivered my Thanksgiving basket. The person was very appreciative. We do have cards for you, but thank you for your sensitivity. She was very pleased.
Well, I spoke to a couple of council members, I think, we'd like to make that an annual thing.
Yeah, and thank you for the lovely pins also.
Mine was very thankful. He said,
Yes.
can I keep the basket? I said, you sure can.
That was my wife's idea, so I have to give credit where credit is due, but
That's
we'll make it an annual.
Tell her we said thank you, and we look forward to next year now. Thank you for the lovely pins also, as well as the cards.
You're welcome. Thank you. Sure.
Any other council member comments? So past Friday, just want to give a shout out to our Chamber of Commerce, who put together a list of activities that went on downtown to kick off the Christmas season. Even though the weather didn't cooperate, which I always thought that Village Years had a direct line to Mother Nature, because whatever events we had planned, the weather worked out, but even though it was rainy, there were people turned out to see the lighting of the tree. Good job, Elmer and his crew for getting that beautiful tree out, the lights decorated, that was pretty cool. The parade went off, there was businesses open, so it was a good turnout from my understanding, despite the rain.
Two trains and one parade.
So I understand Chief Kip got to ride along with Santa. So, yeah, Santa was protected for a while. All right, so just wanted to give a shout out to Billy for all his work and his group of chamber members that put it together. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. I have a motion to excuse Councilman Rowley. So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion to adjourn. So moved. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned, 8:32.